She refused to shake her hand and instantly lost $3 million. The ballroom of the Imperial Crest Hotel glittered like a kingdom carved from crystal. Chandeliers cascaded light over silk gowns and tailored tuxedos. Politicians laughed too loudly. Investors smiled too carefully. Cameras flashed in soft bursts, hungry for power, dressed as elegance. At the center of it all stood Valeria Kane, youngest female CEO in the country, founder of Kane Biotech, and newly crowned billionaire before the age of 30. And tonight was supposed to be her victory lap. Across the room, Amara Bennett stood with her chin lifted, though her palms were damp. She wasn't here to sip champagne or admire the gold-trimmed ceilings. She was here to save her company. $3 million. That was the difference between survival and bankruptcy. Her tech startup, small, innovative, painfully underfunded, had been shortlisted for Kane Biotech's expansion grant. The deal was almost signed. Investors had approved, lawyers had reviewed. The only thing left was the ceremonial handshake in front of the press, a symbol of partnership, a promise, a future. "Miss Bennett," Valeria said smoothly, approaching with a glass of untouched champagne. Her voice was velvet wrapped around steel. "I've heard impressive things." Amara forced a polite smile. "Thank you." Valeria extended her hand. The cameras leaned in, and Amara froze. Because this wasn't just any billionaire offering her a deal. This was the same woman who, 5 years ago, had stood in a university auditorium and publicly dismantled Amara's research project, humiliating her, dismissing her, calling her ideas ambitious but naive. That rejection had cost Amara scholarships, internships, doors that never reopened. Valeria probably didn't even remember, but Amara did. Every word, every laugh in that room. Valeria's hand remained suspended between them, elegant and expectant. "Shall we?" Valeria asked, her smile sharpening for the cameras. The ballroom quieted, and Amara did the unthinkable. She stepped back. "I don't shake hands with people who build empires by stepping on others," she said, her voice clear, louder than she intended. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Camera shutters exploded. Valeria's expression didn't crack, but her eyes cooled several degrees. "I see," she replied calmly, withdrawing her hand. "Then I suppose our partnership is reconsidered." The PR director hurried forward, whispering frantically. But it was already done. Valeria turned to the media. Kane Biotech is withdrawing the $3 million investment from Bennett Innovations due to professional incompatibility. Just like that. $3 million. Gone. Amara's stomach dropped. Applause erupted in awkward pockets, mostly from rivals enjoying the spectacle. Valeria leaned in close enough that only Amara could hear her next words. "Emotion," she murmured softly, "is expensive." Then she walked away. By morning, the clip had gone viral. She refused a billionaire's handshake, lost $3 million instantly. Comment sections were brutal, arrogant, ungrateful, stupid. Investors began calling, not with support, but with concern. Concern quickly turned into withdrawal. Her CFO sent a single message: "We have 42 days of runway left." Amara stared at the ceiling of her small apartment that night, replaying the moment over and over. She had wanted dignity, but dignity didn't pay salaries. The next morning, something unexpected happened. Her inbox flooded, not with mockery, with interest. Independent developers, ethical investors, former students who had once felt silenced in similar rooms. Her refusal had sparked something online, a debate about power, intimidation, and silent monopolies in biotech. A journalist from the Financial Ledger requested an interview. Then another. By the end of the week, Handshake Heist was trending. Valeria Kane remained publicly unbothered. But privately, she was furious, because Kane Biotech's stock had dipped 4%. 4% might not mean much to most people. To Valeria, it was nearly $48 million in market value, all because a small startup founder had refused to play along. Valeria watched the interview replay on her office screen. "Why did you refuse?" the journalist asked Amara. Amara's answer was simple: because partnership should be built on respect, not intimidation. Valeria muted the screen. Respect. The word lingered longer than she expected. She opened Amara's old university file out of curiosity, and there it was. The project she had dismissed 5 years ago. She read it more carefully this time. Her jaw tightened. It wasn't naive. It was ahead of its time. Her rejection back then hadn't been about merit. It had been about threat. Valeria closed the file slowly. She had built her empire by eliminating competition early. But this one had survived. 30 days later, Bennett Innovations should have been bankrupt. Instead, they had crowdfunded $1.2 million. Not enough to replace the original deal, but enough to stay alive. Amara stood in her modest office, rallying her exhausted team. "We don't need $3 million from one billionaire," she said. "We build this brick by brick. We prove them wrong." Cheers erupted. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't easy, but it was theirs. On the 40th day, a black car pulled up outside Bennett Innovations. Amara watched from the window as Valeria Kane stepped out. No cameras, no entourage, just her. The office fell silent as she entered. "I believe," Valeria said evenly, "we have unfinished business." Amara crossed her arms. "We're not interested in intimidation. I'm not here to intimidate you." Valeria placed a folder on the table. Inside was a contract, $5 million. No controlling stake, no board takeover, just capital. "Why?" Amara asked cautiously. Valeria met her eyes, not as a billionaire, not as a rival, as a woman who had once made a mistake. "Because 5 years ago, I underestimated you," she said, "and a month ago you cost me far more than $3 million. Silence. 4%, Valeria added dryly. $48 million in market value. Amara blinked. Valeria allowed herself the smallest smile. "You refusing my handshake didn't make you weak. It made you dangerous." "And now?" Amara asked. "Now I prefer to invest in dangerous." Valeria extended her hand again. This time, no cameras, no audience, just choice. Amara studied her carefully. Power had shifted, not completely, but enough. Slowly she reached forward and shook her hand, not because she needed saving, but because this time it was partnership. Outside, the city buzzed on, unaware that two women had just rewritten the rules of power. $3 million had been lost that night. But something far more valuable had been gained. Respect.